Okay, today I'd like to share a story that I like to give to my kids at the start of the year, often in February, because that's when the American Super Bowl is on. And in the last decade, Tom Brady has featured in almost half of those grand finals. But his success story, and he's generally regarded as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time now, arguably, but his success story starts a little differently. In the initial draft report for Tom Brady, the scouts identified these features about him. They said he had a poor build, he lacked great physical strength and stature, lacked mobility, couldn't pass the ball downfield, which is obviously the key thing quarterbacks do, and he got knocked down easily. And as a fact of that, he was then picked 199th out of 224 for his draft class, putting him in the 11th percentile for his class. Now, Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, likes to tell the story that that afternoon Tom Brady came up to him and said that he was the greatest decision the organisation had ever made. Now, I have a question about what right did such a lowly choice have to say that to one of the wealthiest men in America? And I would hazard to say that his self-belief and self-esteem that was probably imbued upon him by his, coaches and teachers was one of those things. Now, there have been many studies on linking self-esteem and academic success with a wide range of views. And you can often find anything you'd like to prove in academic research, whether on one side of the argument or the other. But it's generally considered that people with students with high self-esteem participate more in class, and that as a part of that, as a part of participation, students who participate more often have higher access to academic success. So my question today is, how can we build confidence when we have a class of students who have D's or low C's on the page? And I want to suggest a few things of giving them some opportunities for success and building their self-esteem. One of the first ways that I've tried with my class in the last couple of years is taking an age-old favourite, 2 stars and a wish, which is where you often give 2 praise points and then a wish for them to improve. But flipping that a little bit at the start of the year and just giving the 2 praise points without the wish. We all know our flaws, and most of the students coming into our classrooms will know their own flaws. And I imagine that if somebody came up to me today and said, "Peter, I really like your tie today, matches your shirt. It's lovely, and you're wearing some nice boots, but are you really fitting into those pants anymore?" I would walk away from that conversation thinking about my pants and not the praise. And I imagine a lot of our students feel that way as well. Now, some of you up to date with your educational research will say, "Well, Peter, that sounds contrary to what we've been told," and you're right, it is. And Professor Steve Dinham and John Hattie are very well known, and they would suggest that we don't try to boost academic, or we don't try to boost self-esteem in inauthentic ways. Now, what I'm suggesting is, rather than not giving the criticism, I'm suggesting holding off on it a little bit. We're all teachers, and rather than throwing the criticism out, and this works very well with creative writing, just listening to our students who are presenting their creative writing and teaching explicitly the things you'd like them to improve on in following lessons. So don't throw it out, but by removing some of that criticism, maybe if they're reading their work in front of the class, we can boost their self-esteem and reduce that sense that some of them may feel about the quality of the quarters in some of their writing. Hold off on it and teach it explicitly to the class instead. Another way that we can do that is by having the students submit anonymous paragraphs, which removes some of that fear of reading out in front of the class. If they can do their paragraph or so creative writing, submit that without their name on it, a lot of them are much more inclined to want to share, and you're continuing to build that sense of inclusion. Now, often the students will try and find out whose paragraph is what, but if you're building that environment of inclusion and that support, a lot of them are much more inclined to want to share. I've had students who would never share anything in front of the class, be the first to raise their hand, and I've had students move from not wanting to share to having the whole class full of hands and not having enough time to get through them. And a lot of that is about creating that safe environment, giving them, look, because all of them have qualities in their writing. If you can't find the positives in your students' writing, you may be in the wrong career. But we can all find that. Another great text that I like to study with lower ability classes is William Blake, and that's where the title comes from. William Blake's a fantastic study for low ability classes because he left a pathway into his writing through his artworks. If you look at the Songs of Innocence and Experience, he illustrated all of those poems, and we're talking about multimodal text. It's a great way for students to become familiar with his work without having to go and lump through huge chunks of text to begin with. And I'd like to start a study of the Echo and Green by giving the students the front two panels of his work. This is the Songs of Innocence here, and then also giving them the follow-up to that with the Songs of Experience. And I gave this to a low ability Year 10 class a couple of years ago, and we read the Echo and Green, and I asked them what they thought the point of the poem was. And Sam, who was often late to school, usually about 3 mornings a week he'd be late to school because he went surfing before dawn and just struggled to get there because he was riding his push bike. He was no great lover of English and even loved an 18th century poet even less. Put his hand up straight away, straight after the reading of the poem, and said, "Mr. Ramm, I think the poem's probably about the cycle of life and death." And it blew me away in that sense that after teaching William Blake 3 or 4 times, he was one of the first that accessed that. And he connected the symbols in Blake's art to the meaning in his poem and found a way into that text. And William Blake leaves a lot of artworks which parallel with his ideas in his writing. He liked to say that he was a poet and an artist. And if you look at some of his other works like Newton and the Ancient Days, these provide great access points for students into the deeper meanings of Blake's art. Another way to help students is by limiting your feedback to one learning goal. It didn't take me long to find this. A lot of us have probably found copious amounts of feedback in our work before. We're teachers, we want to sort of help the students with everything all at once. But that doesn't always help. And so one of the other ways to do that is by targeting just one area for the students to work on, limiting the feedback to just one area. And for Blake, and for that initial lesson, we were looking at how to quote Blake to support our ideas, and giving the students that opportunity to succeed at one thing first before tackling some of their other maybe flaws. And it really provided that sense that the students could feel like they could get one thing right and then build on that and build their self-esteem and move through, I guess, the different parts of their paragraph writing and so on. Tom Brady has won 5 Super Bowls. He's won the most Super Bowls out of any quarterback. And if it wasn't for his teachers or his coaches who looked past that initial draft report, those failures on the page, so to speak, we would never have seen the success and so on that he's brought. And we would have never seen one of the greatest quarterbacks ever play. He was chosen 6th of the quarterbacks on that list. And the other 5 that were chosen in front of him played a handful of games. Tom Brady's going on his 17th year in the NFL, and it was because of his coaches being able to look past some of those initial failures. And I believe it's our ability as teachers to see past some of those failures of the students, to look at their potential, past the grade they carry into the classroom, can mould them into champions, help them overcome obstacles, and inspire them to more in their work. Thank you very much.